So today let's look at the Sarco M79. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys my first impressions are that I believe it is a military stock on a King Arms frame. I don't have a King Arms M79 to compare it to, but I believe that is the case. So those of you that have a King Arms M79, maybe you can post in the comments below if you believe that that is what this is. But let's go ahead and look at the details of it, because Sarco was just offering these recently and I was able to get one new on a trade. So first let's look at the accessories that came with it. It came with this manual, which is they said was a reproduction of an original military manual, which is just for the maintenance and care of the M79. This looks like a military reprint, but it's a pretty detailed manual showing disassembly, assembly, and just how to service these in the field, along with some parts nomenclature, order numbers, and things like that. So that was a nice little gift. They gave us a sling, which is not even a US sling. It's just a little piece of 1-inch webbing with a couple tri-glides on it or buckles on it. We got this pouch, which is pretty cool. It's a military surplus pouch that says Small Arms Accessories Case. So you can put your parts in there. And lastly, we got this screwdriver and wrench combination, which I haven't opened up, but this is a big flat tip screwdriver for the stock bolt, and then a brush on the other end for servicing, cleaning the M79. So those are the accessories that came with it. Let's look at the M79. We've got a hardwood stock with a brown butt plate. This butt plate is marked Noshawk on the back, and it's just sort of a shotgun style rubber brown butt plate. It's got a black spacer, and then you've got your wooden stock. You've got a sling swivel, heavy duty parkerized with 2 flat tip screws. If you'll notice, the stock bolt is not correct. This is an Allen bolt. It should be a big flat tip bolt, which I have. I will replace this with the correct one, but the threads on this one are fine and the threads on the original are coarse, so I'm going to have to rethread the frame. It's got a functional safety. It's got a functional lock, which will open up the action so you can access the chamber. It is cut for a chamber, and the barrel is rifled, although the rifling is straight. I don't see any twist to it. It's got an ejector, which is spring assisted and works, but it is missing some of the internal parts. You can see how far that opens. On an original, it should only open about that far. So I don't know if I'm going to retrofit this with some original parts or not during my restoration process. I am going to, after this video, tear this down and start restoring this to be more closer to a Vietnam era M79. Receiver's metal. It doesn't have any markings, so we'll probably have those engraved. It would be marked on the bottom of the receiver. Trigger guard is functional. You just depress this button on the front and it will turn to the side, to either side, so that you can use that as a winter trigger. Trigger's functional, and again, the safety works. Phillips head screw in the back here. One of the things I know that the guys of King Arms said to be careful of is this collar will thread off, and it's really easy to lose in the field. So I will set this as tight as I can while maintaining the function of the trigger guard, and then I will put some Loctite on those threads so that those do not lose that in the field. Handguard looks really nice, probably too nice, much nicer than the new old stock originals, but they say that the finish wears off pretty quick on those. That's kind of just one of the issues with the King Arms handguards. The sling swivel is super nice. It is almost identical to an original, but these 2 screws are also threaded and are a size smaller than the originals. So I will go into this once I start the restoration process, rethread those holes so it holds the bigger, stronger original screws. So all of the aluminum parts are refinished in a black, maybe an anodized. That's not really correct. This barrel should be a greenish color, or some of them were a bronzes color, and some were more gray, just because of the way that the aluminum anodized on these. The frame itself would have been steel, and it would have been a dark gray parkerized color. Let's look at the rear sight. The rear sight is not an original, it is a reproduction. It at first glance looks like an original, but it is not. There are some differences. A lot of features that the original has, such as this component would be a lock. This slide you would be able to adjust using this elevation wheel. Those components don't work. They're not there. You can adjust the elevation on the elevation bar kind of in a gross manner, but the fine tuning of this wheel is not available. And then this will lock into place using this knob. It has your short distance rear sight on there, but this would have been a two-piece bar. It's only a one-piece on the reproduction. It's also very loose. It doesn't lock in very well when it's closed or open. It's got a lot of play, and I don't think originals had that much play. It does obviously open and close though, like an original. And it is also just refinished in what looks like a black anodized. The front sight on this one looks really good, except it's on backwards. You can see the screw that holds that in place is on the front, and I believe on originals that should be on the back. So when we refinish this barrel, we'll take this off, we'll turn it around. Let's look at this orange ring. I saw online that some guys had just soaked the end of the barrel in hot water, and that would loosen the glue on this orange ring. I did that, worked perfect, and then the orange ring will just snap off, so you can get rid of that safety ring. That comes off pretty easily. There we go. Now, if we look on the bottom, there's a hole drilled here with a small roll pin. I believe that hole is there to help retain this safety ring. We'll knock this roll pin out. We'll fill that hole before we refinish the barrel. So that is a real quick run through of the Sarco M79. As I said, I believe it is a King Arms components with just a military stock. But let's look at some other parts that I have that we're going to put onto this in the very near future. Okay, so we have got an original hardwood handguard in new old stock condition. I've already fitted this to replace this component, and it just took a little bit of minor fitting. This front hole was off just a small amount, and that was pretty easily. I would just open that hole up a little bit, and that's going to fit just fine. Got the original sling swivel that we will use with this, and there are two screws, like I said before, that are a little bit larger than the ones that came on the reproduction, and we'll rethread those so that those will fit and get that original handguard and swivel on there. I bought a fiberglass replacement stock. These came out around 68 or so. I cut it off so that we could make a pistol grip stock out of it, and look at that. It came with the bolt that I need. So I now have the flat tip bolt that I need to mount this stock in place correctly. So we'll be able to place that pistol grip on there when we get ready to use this thing in a shorter configuration. I've got an original sling, and I actually picked up this stock as well. This is a brand new fiberglass stock, never been out of the bag. It was packaged in 1974, February of 74. And I probably will just leave this in the bag, but if I ever want to put a fiberglass full-size stock on it, I've got one that I can do that with. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, guys. I'm going to kind of end this video. I'll show a little bit more by moving the camera around, get it off my tripod so you can see this thing at a little bit of a better angle. But anyway, post your comments below. Let me know what you think about it. And We'll see you on the next video.